The Maple Leafs hit the ice tonight in Newfoundland for preseason tilt against Senators. 680's Cam Dor joins us live with the latest on a coming winter full of promise. Cam.
The Leafs have been screeched in. Mitch Marner is back on the ice, and dare I say, we can actually start focusing on hockey. But it's not the only ticket in town anymore. I spoke with Manpreet, and she says Raptors championship and Bianca Andreescu's historic win puts the Leafs on the clock.
I feel like there is more pressure on them now just because they've been able to see. I feel like all the sports teams have seen what it's like when the Raptors win, and it is going to influence them to want to have that same thing for their own sport. So hopefully it puts pressure on them in a good way, and hopefully we see good results.
Former NHLer Paul Bissonnette took it a step further, and the blue and white better get something done this spring.
I hope that they can get it together and hopefully make at least a run this year. Because if they get knocked out in the first round again, it's going to be chaos in the trough.
The long road towards Stanley's mud technically starts in about an hour and a half. A preseason battle of Ontario in Newfoundland. The Leafs and Sens drop the puck in St. John's at 5:30. Reporting live on K.
680 News Time 407. This news segment brought to you by Magic Window Innovations. To many, this won't come as a surprise. We are spending an alarming amount on rent. 680's Caitlin
really
joins us live with the latest numbers. Caitlin,
Jesus
the
Christ.
Federal Housing Index looked at how big this problem was in 338 federal ridings. The top five, all in the GTA: Willowdale, Thornhill, Richmond Hill, Markham, Unionville, and University Rosedale making the list. Marlene Coffey is the executive director of the Ontario Nonprofit Housing Association. She says poverty is no longer a problem just in big cities. It's moving into our outlying communities.
Particularly as we're in an election season, it's important for our political leaders and those who are campaigning to be informed and know what some of the key issues are.
Young renters under 30 most likely to be paying 50% of their income towards an apartment, and if they aren't, there's also the problem of overcrowding.
Oh, no shit.
For the number of people residing in an apartment. The worst riding for that, Etobicoke North. Reporting live on Caitlin.
Really?
680 News Time 408. The RCMP commissioner updating the arrest of one of their intelligence officers who's still trying to determine the scope of the damage.
This case has shaken the global intelligence community, with RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucky saying the accused, Cameron Ortis, held a senior position within the force, giving them access to classified and sensitive data.
He also had access to intelligence originating from our partners, both domestically and internationally.
It's not clear how many special operations may be at risk, but the RCMP is working with allies to limit potential damage. The commissioner confirms they were first made aware of possible internal corruption when documents were discovered in a joint investigation with the FBI. They launched their own probe, which resulted in the arrest of Ortis last week. She won't comment on a possible motive and doesn't specify what false information she's seeing in the public. The allegations against Ortis have not been proven. He's back in court on Friday. Cormac makes Sweeney Parliament Hill.
Coming up in 30 seconds, latest problems on the streets and news from the pumps that might save you some money.
680 News Time 409. 680 News.
12 cents a liter going up, apparently.
40, as in 40 years. That's how long Magic Windows has been around. 40 years of the most innovative patented breakthroughs in the business. 40 years of making windows and doors right here in the GTA. And most importantly, 40 years of satisfied customers. Which is pretty magical, if we do say so ourselves. Give us a call at 1-800-OK-MAGIC. It's not really magic. It's just better, smarter thinking. City streets Vic Park closed both directions today. Going for LRT construction. Southbound traffic is forced to go westbound. Northbound traffic forced to go eastbound. Now, 680 News gas price update. Info predicts the price will be rising 4 cents at midnight to $1.20.9 a liter. Coming up in 60 seconds.
4 cents overnight.
680 News Time 410.
I'm Scott McGilvery. Selling a home can be complicated. In Toronto, I trust Frank Leo to get you top dollar for your most prized possession.
The right one. Yo, I don't know much about this. I got the Rude Boy alibi. Explain later. I don't even want to read this, eh? I don't even want to read this. So this No, I can't even read this. I'll read that later. Someone's telling me to read this later. Sorry, I don't mean to get your hopes up. I'll fucking cover that later.
Traffic and weather together all the once. This report brought to you by Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario. QEW being nasty to us today.
Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario. Are you serious?
The two right lanes to block for the vehicle fire cleanup. Dump truck was on fire, and it ruptured the fuel tanks. So we're told that they have to drain all of the fuel out of this truck before it can be moved, towed off the highway. So two right lanes are blocked.
125-gallon tanks in those fucking trucks.
Expect this lane restrictions through here for some time. We've also got an eastbound QEW problem now.
1,000 liters,
line. Looks like the left lane is blocked by crews dealing with a collision. It's already jammed from Brant to approaching Guelph line. And then you don't get much of a break. Slows again east of Guelph line to approaching Bronte. And that's all because traffic is having a look at that westbound cleanup. On your way out of downtown, the westbound Gardner is busy DVP to the 427. And then we have west QEW volume 427 to west of Huron, Ontario. Again, jammed Ford Drive to that Bronte issue. And north Don Valley 404, that's busy Gerard to York Mills, Finch to north of 16th Avenue. As you travel to northbound 400, expect delays north of the 401 to about Steeles, Highway 7 to the King on route. We've got delays 427 northbound from the 409 to Finch, and the 410 slow into Brampton north of the 407 to Queen. On the westbound 401, it's busy from Warden to Dixon, alternately express and collectors, and then busy into Mississauga and Milton, and off and on from about
Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario. Yo, for real.
James Snow, east of Winston Churchill to Mavis, 427 to Kennedy, alternately express and collectors, and then off and on from east of White's Express to east of Sixon. You don't need to have symptoms to have sickle cell trait. Get tested. It's Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Learn more at sicklecellanemia.ca. Brought to you by Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario. Your next report at 4:21, and with the forecast, meteorologist Natasha Ranzahai.
All right, great bike riding weather, and for outdoor workers, it's fantastic as the humidity stays low until Friday. Now tonight, mainly clear. We're down to 13 degrees.
Come on, Chrome, show me what we got.
Tomorrow morning in some spots, so patchy fog, and then partly cloudy in the afternoon with a high of 22 degrees. Still
Minority Health.
Sunshine at 24. Once again, that morning just watch for a little bit of fog out and around the GTA. Overnight tonight, we're down to 13 degrees. It is currently at 22 degrees out of Pearson. 680 News Time, 4:13.
That's 680 News Market Minutes to the Business Center. Here's Carl. James, the TSX has done it again, locking a third consecutive record closing high, up by 83 points to 16,834. Also locking in a 6-day rally. However,
so,
the big loser,
let's try the one that they just told us.
This afternoon is CanTrust Holdings announcing a license suspension from Health Canada amid the unlicensed pot growing scandal, falling by 14.5% at the close. Stateside, though, it's a winning day for Wall Street as investors prepare for the latest interest rate announcement from the U.S.
Grow one, why not grow two? Exactly.
By 32, S&P
knew that was going to happen.
Gold up about 90, finishing at 1,513.
Oil
up 5.7%, closing at 59.34 a barrel. Giving back after that huge one-day gain, the biggest in more than a decade that we saw for oil yesterday. We got word today from Saudi Arabia's energy minister that they're expecting output to recover by the end of September. But we're still expected to feel this here at home, and for predicting the price of gas across the GTA is expected to rise 4 cents around midnight, so make sure you're planning ahead. Canadian dollar is now flat at 75.52 cents U.S. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
We live our best lives hand in hand. Now let us lend you ours. On September 22nd,
Law Enforcers Workshop Series. I don't know where this is going, but this is interesting. Can you blame me? I don't want to read about shootings, so let's look up this sickle cell thing. I'm surprised to hear that on the radio, but okay, so those are not loading because of JavaScript. That's fine. Just what is this? No offense, but somewhere on here should be what is sickle cell. I know. I just. Okay, fuck this. Let's open a new fucking thing. Let's try one of these WebMD type peoples here. Or you know what? Let's go for the standard wiki. Looney, Wikipedia. Start from there. No offense, but the first link on the top of that page should have been, "What is sickle cell anemia?" Sickle cell. I know. I need to refresh my memory. This a group of blood disorders. Really, this gets more interesting, eh? Trait. This is what I want to see. What is this? Sickle cell trait. You can look this up yourself. Sickle cell trait describes a condition in which a person has one abnormal allele of the hemoglobin beta gene, is heterozygous, but does not display the severe symptoms of sickle cell disease that occur in a person who has two copies of that allele, is homozygous. Whoa, hold on a second. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. Normal and abnormal hemoglobin. They don't test people with white skin for this shit, eh? Oh, okay. Sickle cell disease is a blood disorder wherein there is a single amino acid substitution in the hemoglobin protein of the red blood cells, which causes these cells to assume a sickle shape. Yes, especially when under low oxygen tension. Okay, that's okay. So more is coming back to me here. Yeah. Okay. Sickling and sickle cell disease also confer some resistance to malaria, parasitization of red blood cells, so that individuals with sickle cell trait heterozygotes have a selective advantage in environments where malaria is present. Wait. So this will help you survive malaria? What the fuck? Sickle cell trait is a hemoglobin I'm not putting the news back on. Fuck it. The weed's telling me not to bother. There's every time I read about a shooting, another one's happening as I'm reading about it. So like I know there's places with more shootings. It's just we're not talking like fucking reasonable things, eh? So I was in jail when these things happened. So a benign condition. Hold up. Sickle. So this is not. See, they're skipping the whole black skin, white skin issue here. Sickle. They'll get to it, but African American soldier. Okay, it's on this page. Sickle cell trait is a hemoglobin genotype AS. I don't know what that means, and is generally regarded as a benign condition. However, individuals with sickle cell trait may have rare complications. Oh, crazy. This is okay, yeah, that's, for example, in November 2010, Dr. Jeffrey K. Taubenberger of the National Institutes of Health discovered the earliest proof of sickle cell disease while looking for the virus of the 1918 flu during the autopsy of an African American soldier. Taubenberger's Jesus, 100 years later, right? 90, whatever. Taubenberger's autopsy results showed that the soldier suffered a sickle cell crisis that contributed to his death, even though he had only one copy of the gene. So whatever kills you, they can figure it out sooner or later. So you think you're getting away with killing people? I'm pretty sure you're not gonna. Not in the way people think they are. I don't think that's right. There have been okay, that's malaria. Okay, what else is it? Just tell me the fucking skin color bullshit. Just African American, but like, what the fuck color is this shit, eh? Like fucking. Hematuria, hypostenuria, renal medullary carcinoma. Uh-oh, cancer affecting the kidney. For real? For real? Oh, man. Renal papillary necrosis. Necrosis means dead. Splenic infarcts. Infarct. Isn't that a splenic infarcts at high altitude? Surgery may not always be necessary. Okay, so this is one of those things I would not quote as a fact because it's not a full sentence there. Sudden deaths during physical exertion in African American U.S. Army recruits. What the fuck? You could be born with a disease. They can make you exercise too hard and that will kill you because of where you're from. That is fucked up. Acute chest syndrome. That sounds crazy. Asymptomatic bacteriuria. Okay, so I'm not reading everything. I'm just going over this quickly. Priapism. Leg ulcers. What the fuck? No. Okay, that's scary. Liver necrosis. A vascular necrosis of the femoral head. And stroke. Okay, stroke's nice and short there. An association with complicated migraines has been suggested. Yeah, well, they don't know what the fuck causes a migraine. That is fucking crazy. That is way more than I was ever able to find out before. Is why I'm sort of. You don't smoke, don't start. You won't stop. There have been. Okay, did I skip a section? There have been reports. Okay, well. Yo, so. Okay, I'm gonna read what I'm going to say what I'm reading when it makes sense for me to say it in a sentence. So, pulmonary venous thromboembolism. So, your blood fucking explodes in your muscles and shit. Clots up and shit. In pregnant women with sickle cell trait or men during prolonged air flight and mild strokes and abnormalities on PET scans in children with the trait. So, all of those could sort of all go together. Sickle cell trait appears to worsen the complications seen in diabetes mellitus type 2. So, okay, it's not going to improve it. That's why I giggled. So, it's not going to improve it. There are a lot of links off this page. Diabetic hyperosmolar diabetic coma, nephropathy, especially in male patients. Okay, so, but either way, genetics. Where does this shit come from? A 1918 soldier. Okay, but he got it from somewhere, right? Sorry, I gotta get straight to the point sometimes. 1918. They were doing some crazy shit in 1918. The sickle cell trait can be, okay, so this is useful anyway, in information-wise, for what I'm thinking. The sickle cell trait can be used to demonstrate the concepts of codominance and incomplete dominance. An individual with the sickle cell trait shows incomplete dominance when the shape of the red blood cell is considered. Okay, did I read that correctly? That didn't sound right. This is because the sickling happens only at sickling. How did that become a word? Happens only at low oxygen concentrations. A lot of black guys in jail, and the air in jail is low oxygen. I'm gonna tell you that. This sounds like a setup, man. With regards to the actual concentration of hemoglobin in the circulating cells, the alleles demonstrate codominance, as both normal and mutant forms coexist in the bloodstream. So you can't even separate that shit. Wow. Unlike the sickle cell trait, sickle cell disease is passed on in a recessive. Hold on. Unlike, hold on a second. Recessive. Hold on. Okay, I'm just gonna skip to the next part because it's not gonna make sense to me. Oh man, really? What? Holy shit. Whole genome sequence analysis has identified a single origin of the sickle trait with one haplotype ancestral to all sickle cell variants. This haplotype is thought to have originated in the Sahara during the Holocene wet phase around 7,300 years ago. So this answers my question, because the Grand Dragon, whatever Grandmaster Poobah dude from the KKK, supposedly was 15% sub-Saharan African. There's 7,300 years during which that could have happened. And he's got pretty white skin. So he could, in theory, have this. Yeah, that always bothered me, that it's a disease just black people get. Like, that sounds wrong. That sounds targeted. That never sat right with me. So this means they don't even know what the fuck. I'm reading more and more about diseases they really don't know fuck all about. It's not helping me figure out what's wrong with me. Sickle cell variants descended from this ancestral haplotype comprise 5 haplotypes named after toponyms or ethno-linguistic groups. Uh-oh. This is what it says. The Arabian/Indian, Benin, Cameroon, Central African Republic Bantu, and Senegal variants. You mean like, oh wow. So you could get, what if one of your parents was from Cameroon and one was from Senegal? And another designation earmarked for atypical sickle cell haplotypes. Hey, wait, so there's 5 plus anybody that doesn't fit in the 5. See, this is what I'm talking about. And another designation earmarked for atypical sickle cell haplotypes. Tend to. I'm not reading that. West Africa, 25% of the population. Trade. South and Central Americans, especially those in Panama. Italy, Greece, Spain, malaria. What the fuck? Wow. In athletes, in some cases, athletes with sickle cell trait do not achieve the same level of performance as elite athletes with normal hemoglobin AA. That's sort of a broad statement. Athletes with sickle cell trait and their instructors must be aware of the dangers of the condition during anaerobic exertion, especially in hot and dehydrated conditions. That is fucked up. In rare cases, exercise-induced dehydration or exhaustion may cause healthy red blood cells to turn sickle shape, which can cause death during sporting activities. Just that's fucked. While more research is necessary on the topic, the correlation found between individuals with sickle cell trait and an increased risk of sudden death appears to be related to microcirculatory disorders, during exercise. Yeah, well, during anything. Microcirculatory disorder. Microcirculation is like plugging up all your fucking blood vessels with fucked up shit so you can't breathe. Okay, there has to be. I need to scroll down. This is not. Oh, what is this? This is crazy. No, I've read as much as I could before, but I'm talking like they had a little pamphlet and a picture of some black person always, and like It's Canada, so. Malaria. Okay, I'm not reading all that because I don't know those words. I literally don't know those words. I don't know that word. Signs, symptoms, and prevention. The fuck, eh? Signs, symptoms, and prevention. Because of the microcirculatory distress, a telltale sign or symptom of a potential sickling collapse is cramping. That's two words that go together. Sickling collapse. The fuck? Specifically to sickle cell trait, cramping occurs in the lower extremities and back in athletes undergoing intense physical activity or exertion. Lower extremities. In comparison to heat cramps, okay, I don't know what heat cramps are really. In comparison to heat, I fucking don't know what that is. In comparison to heat cramps, sickling cramps are less intense in terms of pain and have a weakness and fatigue associated with them as opposed to tightly contracted muscles that lock up during heat cramps. I don't know what that is. I have this shit. Because if it's not my nervous system, it's my blood. A sickling collapse comes on slowly, following cramps, weakness, general body aches, and fatigue. Yeah. So I don't know what I got, but it sounds like this. Individuals, I'm not gonna tell you everything because that's like some fucking serious shit to go through, but it happens in public. Individuals with known positive sickle cell trait status experiencing significant muscle weakness or fatigue during exercise should take exercise. I'm walking. Should take extra time to recover and hydrate before returning to activity in order to prevent further symptoms. Fuck that. I'm not moving. That's what the fuck is happening to you. This is what I was looking for. That is what the fuck is happening to me. Sometimes low oxygen. A collapse can be prevented by taking steps to ensure sufficient oxygen levels in the blood. Among these preventative measures are proper hydration and gradual acclimation to conditions such as heat, humidity, and decreased air pressure due to higher altitude. Okay, that's that. Okay. Gradual progression of exertion levels. No progression. Gradual progression of exertion levels also helps athletes' bodies. Fuck being an athlete at this point. Hey, no. Bodies, for me, adjust and compensate. Gradual progression of exertion levels also helps athletes' bodies adjust and compensate, gaining fitness slowly over the course of several weeks. What are you? You're citing something here. Out of something bigger. 1918 autopsy. Wow. But what good does that do me? Because they don't seem to fucking know what to do about it. I didn't see the word treatment on this whole fucking thing. Oh, this is the trick. Okay, so hold on. So what was I just reading happens? The trait or the disease? What the fuck did I just read happens to me? Hold on. NCAA. Yeah, sorry. I don't have cable. Square rhabdomyolysis and necrosis within the muscle cells. Hey, holy shit, where was I? I skipped this part. No, I didn't. How the fuck did I miss that? Polymerize. Okay. Okay. Normal hemoglobin and hemoglobin S in the presence of oxygen. Okay, contains a deformability characteristic that allows erythrocytes to essentially squeeze their way into smaller vessels, including those involved in microcirculation to the capillaries within muscle tissue, as well as blood supply embedded within organ tissues. That's not good. When hemoglobin S is deprived of oxygen, it can polymerize. That's what fucking guns are made out of, and computers and cars and shit. It's a polymer is a long synthetic, like if your blood polymerizes, it's not going to go through the blood vessel, to put it quite simply. It's not. What? When hemoglobin S is deprived of oxygen, it can polymerize, which is what is proposed to cause the sickled cells. So hemoglobin is in blood cell. The sickled erythrocytes present a decreased deformability when compared to normal erythrocytes, leading to distress in circulation into the smaller vessels involved in microcirculation, particularly in this case the capillaries embedded in muscle tissue. Motherfucker. And I guarantee no matter how many needles they stuck in me, they never fucking tested for that shit. I guarantee it. Or they just didn't tell me. No, they never tested for that. If I was some university doctor student, I would say, hey, why not test everybody for this shit and see what comes up? Because this is fucked up. I don't know what rhabdomyolysis is. I know what necrosis is. I think I just read this. The resulting microvasculatory distress in capillaries specific to muscle tissue can cause acute rhabdomyolysis. It's a long word, it's probably bad. And necrosis within the muscle cells. Your muscle cells are literally dying because they're starving of oxygen or everything. Oh, that is fucked up. The inflammation, so it really is what it feels like. Wow. The inflammation and leakage of intracellular material resulting from muscle cell necrosis releases a particular protein, myoglobin, into the bloodstream. While necessary in muscle tissue to bind iron and oxygen, myoglobin circulating through the bloodstream can break down into smaller compounds that damage kidney cells, leading to various complications, such as those seen in sickle cell trait athletes during high levels of physical exertion. So where the fuck was I reading this other shit? Where was the... This is referring to a sickling collapse. So a sickling collapse. That's not a blue word. I can't click on it. Specifically to sickle cell trait, cramping occurs in the lower extremities and back in athletes undergoing. So I don't have disease, I have trait. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Oh. I have a sibling, eh? And something tells me I just know some things that make me think he's got this as well. Something similar. Sickling collapse. Okay. That was a lot to fucking take in. I don't have the disease itself, apparently. Sickle cell disease, redirected from sickle cell disease. Why are you telling me that? It's the same fucking words. Oh, it's got a 3-letter acronym. Sickle cell disease, SCD, is a group of blood disorders typically inherited from a person's... Okay, hold on. Anemia. This is... So this was what I was just reading is... Hold on. 2 abnormal copies. An attack can be set off by temperature changes, stress, dehydration, and high altitude. Well, fuck. A person with a single abnormal copy does not usually have symptoms. Does not usually. And is said to have sickle cell trait. Trait? What the fuck? Such people are also, this is like, that's like having, oh, I got like curly hair. Like, it's the same shit. Eh? Such people are also referred to as carriers. Thank you. Diagnosis is by a blood test. Yes, it's blue. I know what a blood test is. And some countries test all, but apparently Canada don't. Some countries, or they don't know what they're looking for, test all babies at birth for the disease. Diagnosis is also possible during pregnancy of the... Some countries. I've never seen this shit on my health fucking file ever, so I don't think they ever fucking looked at it. These bastards, and even when I tell them this is happening, they go, I have no idea. These motherfuckers know what this shit is. They're doctors that study for years. Fuck, how am I supposed to keep up with this? Pain medication, high fluid intake, vaccination and antibiotics, infection prevention. Hold on. Sickle cell, okay, sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait. Okay, slow down. Vaccinate, okay, I'm not sure what that means. So I think somebody just typed that in there. Blood transfusion, I don't think that's going to solve anything. Hydroxycarbamide. Transplant of bone marrow. A small percentage of people can be cured by a transplant of bone marrow cells. I'm not trying that for any reason. 4.4 million. Oh, whoa. Okay, that's what I was looking for. As of 2015, about 4.4 million people have sickle cell disease, while an additional 43 million have sickle cell trait. That's fucking insane. About 80% of sickle cell disease cases are believed to occur in sub-Saharan Africa. That's crazy. India, African people of African origin living in other parts of the world. Yeah, well, living somewhere else is not going to change your DNA. Like, not like, wow. So people type whatever they want in there sometimes. James B. Eric, 1910. Okay, so I don't know if any of this is true. The protective effect against malaria of sickle cell trait. So I won't get malaria. I don't think I'm going to get malaria up here. Like if you said West Nile, I'd be happy, but yeah, I've seen the pictures of the cells, but they never gave me so much information about how those cells get that way. Now I see it. Okay. That is not going to flow through a tube. It's the wrong shade tube, but maybe that might be, I don't know. No, that's scanning electron microscope would be in color, no? Signs of sickle cell disease usually begin in early childhood. Okay, like what? The severity of symptoms can vary from person to person. Sickle cell disease may lead to various acute and chronic complications, several of which have a high mortality rate. Hey, wait a second. So what are they? The severity of symptoms can vary from person to person. Okay, that's easy to comprehend. Various acute and chronic complications, several of which have a high mortality. I can't follow every single link in the same order I'm looking at them because these don't do that. I have to jump around the damn page. Sickle cell crisis or sickling crisis may be used to describe several independent acute conditions occurring in patients with SCD, which results in anemia. Yeah, okay, that's a fancy word that means you're weak as fuck. And crises that could be of many types, including the vast. Okay, this is not so important. I need to understand. Most episodes of sickle cell crisis last between 5 and 7 days. Like, whoa, straight? Like, hold on a second. I don't know what they're quoting though. Although infection, dehydration, and acidosis, all of which favor sickling, can act as triggers, in most instances, no predisposing cause is identified. I don't know what a vaso-occlusive is, so I have to skip that one. Splenic, that's bad. I don't need to know about the spleen. Baseline Anemia, producing pale appearance, fast heart rate, and fatigue. A plastic crisis. No shit. This crisis is normally triggered by parvovirus B19. What the fuck? I know what parvovirus is. You gave it a letter and a number, eh? Which directly, how the fuck? Directly affects production of red blood cells by invading the red cell precursors and multiplying in and destroying them. Parvovirus infect. Yo, hold up. Yo, there's a parvovirus infection almost completely prevents red blood cell production for 2 to 3 days. In normal individuals, this is of little consequence, but the shortened red cell life of SCD patients results in an abrupt, life-threatening situation. Parvovirus is a fucking genetically bred fucking virus to kill off. One of them, I guess, is a bunch, is to kill off stray dogs that aren't vaccinated against it. Genius idea. Now they all have to be vaccinated against it. So I don't like what this is saying about fucking. I don't like this right now. Oh, this is informative, but oh man. Reticulocyte counts drop dramatically during the disease, causing reticulocytopenia, and the rapid turnover of red cells leads to the drop in hemoglobin. You need hemoglobin. This crisis takes 4 to 7 days to disappear. Most patients can be managed supportively. Some need blood transfusions. I should never have been using naproxen, eh? Holy fuck. That's a bunch of things I shouldn't have happening at the same time. I haven't been using it, so it doesn't matter. I don't know what this is. Okay, I don't know if this part's even true, but it doesn't seem to be useful to me to understand. Hold up. Another recognized type of sickle crisis, acute chest syndrome, is characterized by fever, chest pain, difficulty breathing, and pulmonary infiltrate on a chest x-ray. So all the crap they show on my x-rays that they never have an answer for. Like, they don't want to talk to me. Well, wow. Given that pneumonia and sickling in the lung can both produce these symptoms, the patient is treated for both. Well, apparently not treated for both conditions. It can be, thank you, OHIP. It can be triggered by painful crisis, respiratory infection, bone marrow embolization. I'm expecting a Z there. I don't know. Or possibly by, oh shit, atelectasis. Oh my god. Atelectasis. Okay, wait a second. Citation needed. Opiate administration or surgery. Wait a second. Triggered by opiate administration or really? Thank you. So I don't like drugs at all that come from bottles. So okay. A family tree picture of genetics. Thank you. Make it simple. How do you have unaffected carrier father, unaffected carrier mother, unaffected 1 in 4, unaffected carrier 2 in 4, affected 1 in 4. Oh my god, that's fucked up. Oh no. That is bad. That's so bad for somebody that I know. I don't know. I guess they know by now. I would hope. Shit. Well, it's his background, so. Okay, 6 weeks of age. That is a lot of words. Okay. Okay, the wrong kind of hemoglobin. Okay, you got 6 different kinds of hemoglobin and you have the wrong kind. Autosomal recessive pattern of inheritance from parents. That's what this says here. Autosomal recessive pattern. I don't think I need to click on that to know what that means. Unaffected carrier father. So people don't have any way of knowing they're passing this shit on. Okay, 6 weeks of age does not help. The types of hemoglobin a person makes in the red blood cells depend on what hemoglobin genes are inherited from her or his parents. If one parent has sickle cell anemia and the other has sickle cell trait, then the child has a 50% chance of having sickle cell disease and a 50% chance of having sickle cell trait. Wow. When both parents have sickle cell trait, a child has 25% chance of sickle cell disease, 25% do not carry any sickle cell alleles, and 50% have the heterozygous condition. Okay, just why couldn't you have it? Okay. I don't like this word probably. Sickle cell gene mutation probably arose spontaneously in different geographic areas as suggested by restriction endonuclease analysis. Okay, names are not really, okay, they're clinical. So much. Okay, but it also said there was people that don't. There's a sixth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit. Okay, but that's 7,500 years ago. A lot of people did a lot of traveling since then. I don't know what any of that means about tend to have milder disease. I don't know what that means. The gene defect is a single nucleotide mutation. Single nucleotide polymorphism. SNP. Holy fuck. Okay, this is not so useful to read out loud. I don't need to know those letters. Hold on. This is not. I'm skipping a bunch of fucked up shit. This is normally a benign mutation causing no apparent effects on the secondary, tertiary, or quaternary structures of hemoglobin in conditions of normal oxygen concentration. However, under low oxygen concentration, HbS polymerizes and forms fibrous precipitates. Yeah, long, stringy, springy, not round little water molecules that bouncing around. These things are going to fuck up everything. HbS polymerizes and forms fibrous precipitates because the deoxy form of hemoglobin exposes a hydrophobic patch on the protein between the E and F helices. Deoxy exposes. This shit eats your DNA. No, did I read that right? Okay, I need to get back to regular English. Okay, this is in people homozygous for HbS, the presence of long chain polymers of that's Teflon and shit of HbS distort the shape of the red blood cell from a smooth donut-like shape, donuts, to ragged and full of spikes, making it fragile and susceptible to breaking within capillaries. Yo. Carriers have symptoms only if they are deprived of oxygen, for example, while climbing a mountain, wow, or while severely dehydrated. That's relative, eh? Okay, Okay, so this just repeats that you can be a carrier. Okay. Heterozygotes are still able to contract malaria, but their symptoms are generally less. Hey, generally, hold on. You got me thinking this is like a super immune system bonus thing here. Like, fuck. Due to the adaptive advantage of the heterozygote, adaptive advantage, there's a nice word, of the set of words, of the heterozygote, the disease is still prevalent. What do you mean? You want these people to die off? That's the only way that's gonna, the disease is still, wow. You're gonna control breeding or something. The disease is still prevalent, especially among people with recent ancestry in malaria-stricken areas such as Africa, the Mediterranean, India, and the Middle East. Dutch people. Fucking Dutch people are all over that shit. Malaria was historically endemic to southern Europe, but it was declared eradicated in the mid 20th century with the exception of rare sporadic cases. So it's not eradicated if it's still there. Like, the malaria parasite has a complex life cycle and spends part of it in red blood cells. In a carrier, the presence of the malaria parasite causes the red blood cells with defective hemoglobin to rupture prematurely, making the Plasmodium parasite unable to reproduce. Yeah, but further, the polymerization of HB uh, affects the ability of the parasite to digest HB in the first place. Therefore, in areas where malaria is a problem, people's chances of survival actually increase if they carry sickle cell trait. Selection for the heterozygote. Okay. Uh, there were Dutch people in Africa for 400 fucking years, eh? Like, wow. Oh, don't get me wrong. I knew I had something to do with this. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't have all this information. Thankfully, people have typed this shit up. Even if half of what I just read is bullshit, it all makes sense now. I'm not. This may or may not be true, and I'm not sure what it means. I'm just gonna read it. In the United States, with no endemic malaria, I don't know, the prevalence of sickle cell anemia among people of African ancestry is lower, about 0.25%, than among people in West Africa, about 4.0%, and is falling. Without, and that's not too far up, bro. Without, it's multiples, but it's a quarter of a percent to 4% is not too far off. There's black people a lot of other places, eh? Like, without endemic malaria, the sickle cell mutation is purely disadvantageous and tends to decline in the affected population by natural selection. That's not what happened. And now artificially through prenatal genetic screening. Okay. However, the African American community descends from a significant admixture of several African and non-African ethnic groups and also represents the descendants of survivors of slavery and the slave trade. Thus, a degree of genetic dilution by crossbreeding with non-African people and high health selective pressure through slavery. That's a lot of words, man. Especially the slave trade and the frequently deadly Middle Passage may be the most plausible explanations for the lower prevalence of sickle cell. You killed all the people that you could kill with it. Is what you did. Maybe the most. That's not. That's why I said those numbers were not that far off. There's only 0.25% left, or some shit, compared to. May be the most plausible explanations for the lower prevalence of sickle cell anemia and possibly other. What do you mean? And possibly other genetic diseases among African Americans compared to West Africans. Another factor that limits the spread of sickle cell genes in North America is the relative absence of polygamy. Hey, wait a second, that's not true. That's not even true. It's illegal, but they do it. Hold on, you can't just say it's not happening. I think I just read bullshit without thinking about it. What's the next line? In polygamous societies, affected males may father many children with multiple. In polygamous societies, affected males may father many children with multiple partners. Well, they do that here too without getting married. So I don't think that. I think effectively in terms of biology, I don't think that's any different. Pathophysiology. Okay, these are black and white. Scanning electron micrograph. Wow. Wow, that's like a deflated fucking balloon. The loss of red blood cell elasticity is central to the pathophysiology of sickle cell disease. Normal red blood cells are quite, I'm repeating the same stuff in different words, I mean. Normal red blood cells are quite elastic, which allows the cells to deform to pass through capillaries. In sickle cell disease, low oxygen tension promotes red blood cell sickling, and repeated episodes of sickling damage the cell membrane and decrease the cell's elasticity. These cells fail to return to normal shape when normal oxygen tension is restored. Oh, wow. I was like, thanks. As a consequence, these rigid blood cells are unable to deform as they pass through narrow capillaries, leading to vessel occlusion and ischemia. Are unable to deform as opposed to leading to ischemia. I gotta see what that means. Ischemia redirected from ischemia. Thank you. Restriction in blood supply to tissues causing shortage of oxygen that is needed for cellular metabolism to keep tissue alive. So they could accidentally on purpose just sort of kill you by just cutting your air off a little bit. Ischemia, I don't care how it's pronounced. Ischemia comprises not only insufficiency of oxygen, pay attention, but also reduced availability of nutrients and inadequate removal of metabolic waste. That's acids and shit. And what the fuck? Okay, my feet don't look like that. Okay, this is worth reading. So I'm repeating again, more similar, same shit, but let's go for it. Since oxygen is carried to tissues in the blood, insufficient blood supply causes tissue to become starved of oxygen. And no, this doesn't fucking seem to affect that because I've done fucking blood tests, oxygen tests where I read 99% after having a cigarette. Like I throw a cigarette down and within 60 seconds I'm on the oxygen thing. It says 99%. So I don't know how, but it doesn't seem to. I'm not bullshitting about that either. Since oxygen is carried to tissues in the blood, insufficient blood supply causes tissue to become starved of oxygen. Yes, thank you. In the highly metabolically active tissues of the heart and brain, oh yeah, that's a lot of, oh yeah. Irreversible damage to tissues can occur in as little as 3 to 4 minutes at body temperature. The kidneys are also quickly damaged by loss of blood flow. Renal ischemia. Tissues with slower metabolic rates may undergo irreversible damage after 20 minutes. 6 P's. P's, eh? Clinical manifestations of acute limb ischemia. Who named that? That's hard to fucking. It makes me sound like I'm slurring my words. Ischemia. Ischemia. IS. Which can be summarized as the 6 P's include pain, pallor, pulseless. Not well. You'd be dead. Okay, so I think I understand. Paresthesia, paralysis, and poikilothermia. Without immediate intervention, ischemia may progress quickly to tissue necrosis and gangrene within a few hours. Paralysis is a very late sign of acute arterial ischemia and signals the death of nerves supplying the extremity. Foot drop may I'm going to click on that because that's blue. Foot drop may occur as a result of nerve damage. Because nerves are extremely sensitive to hypoxia, limb paralysis or ischemic neuropathy may persist after revascularization and may be permanent. That's the fucking handcuffs on my wrists. Fucking leg irons. What is foot drop? You have me worried. Gait abnormality. Foot drop is a gait abnormality in which the dropping of the forefoot. They've got like my whole health fucking problems laid out today on Wikipedia. I don't know how the fuck this happened. Foot drop is a gait abnormality in which the dropping of the forefoot happens due to weakness, irritation, or damage to the common fibular nerve, including the sciatic nerve, or paralysis of the muscles in the anterior portion of the lower leg. It is usually a symptom of a greater problem, not a disease in itself. Foot drop is characterized by inability or impaired ability to raise the toes or raise the foot from the ankle. Foot drop may be temporary or permanent depending on the extent of muscle weakness or paralysis, and it can occur in one or both feet. In walking, the raised leg is slightly bent at the knee to prevent the foot from dragging along the ground. Even more so. Holy fuck, that's a real fucking thing. Foot drop can be foot drop. Fucking hell. Foot drop can be caused by nerve damage alone or by muscle or spinal cord trauma. Thank you. Abnormal anatomy. That could mean anything. Atoxins or disease. Okay, well, disease. Toxins include organophosphate compounds, which have been used as pesticides and as chemical agents in warfare. I didn't write this, but let's read it. The poison can lead to further damage to the body, such as neurodegenerative disorder called organophosphorus-induced delayed polyneuropathy. This disorder causes loss of function of the motor and sensory neural pathways. In this case, foot drop could be the result of paralysis due to neurological dysfunction. Diseases that can cause... I don't want to keep reading this shit. What did we cover? Sickle cell trait. Okay, it's got a name. Trait. T-R-A-I-T. I'll remember that. And foot drop and ischemia is just describing what's happening. Multiple sclerosis. Hold on. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Foot drop, man. Steppage gait. I don't. Okay. Patients with painful disorders of sensation, dysesthesia of the soles of the feet, may have a similar gait but do not have foot drop. Because of the extreme pain evoked by even the slightest pressure on the feet, the patient walks as if walking barefoot on hot sand. I'm not sure how that exactly relates. Okay, I'm not reading all that. I'm not reading all that. Just about the foot. No, 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 no. Okay. No. I don't want to read more on this. So, sickle cell trait. Do I get the three-letter thing? SCT? Like, what the fuck? I got two of these. Okay, what's this? Oh, wow. Like, everything that they fucking throw at me is just fucking designed to trigger all this shit. These bastards bring a fucking heater out for me. For me, it's in another fucking room. A cell. How the fuck is that over there gonna help me in here? Oh, this cell's colder than all the other cells. Why am I in this cell if they're all fucking empty? Families with children, adolescents, and adults with sickle cell disease. What about trait? Oh shit, am I not included here? Damn it. I'm gonna call you and ask you. Okay, so. Oh man. It advocates on their behalf that this is the sickle cell anemia, what's it called again? Awareness Group of Ontario. It advocates on their behalf with the government, schools, and the healthcare community, and to serve the greater Ontario public, it provides sickle cell trait education to the community with the hope of reducing the number of new births with SCD in the province. But if it's genetic, you're saying you want people to not fucking mix with certain people. Like, that's the only way you could be. Like, how the fuck else are you talking about this? I'm not reading that because that's just disturbing politically. No, I'm not turning the news back on either. And I'm not reading the rest of that. That is fucking crazy shit. Well, now I know what the fuck to tell them the next time I'm fucking sick. Holy fuck. Trait. I'll remember that word. I don't know where these fucking things came from, man. Low oxygen, high altitude, which is same thing, effectively. Low air pressure, I guess, would be the same part of that. If your heart starts pumping harder and the blood ain't gonna go through, you're just gonna blow up your heart. That is fucking crazy. You should quit smoking. No, okay, you should not start smoking. Don't tell me not to smoke. I'm in too much fucking pain for this shit. Opiate administration. Oh, man. No, that, I don't know. I don't think I ever had an issue with that. So my friend calls me Pumpkinhead. Oh, I had the green one on. And this one, even the inside of the damn hood that I put on to fucking try to make this look more normal is orange. The first, sort of. Not as bright as this orange. Not nearly. This is government orange. Unbelievable shit, eh? I didn't see the word treatment in any of those fucking articles. It's preventing births. I don't like that. but I have the power of the internet right here. Let's type those 2 words, 3, so sickle cell trait. Sickle, how about we type in, hold on, give me a second here. I just know I'm going to pop up a bunch of fucking ads for pharmaceuticals from Mexican pharmacies that will deliver sickle cell, and then just the word treatment. Sickle cell association prevents address sickle cell disease. What is this? Modern treatment. Oh, bone marrow transplant. Antibiotics. What? Oh, okay. Pain relieving medications. Wow. There's news stories, but they seem misleading to me. 48 minutes ago, cure for sickle cell may be slowed by black patients' mistrust. Really? I gotta see what that is about. I have to click on that. That could be like a really bad image I'm about to see. That is clickbait for me. CRISPR. Oh, Jesus, that's not gonna help poor people. Jesus Christ. CRISPR. I'm not gonna get into what CRISPR is. This gene splicing shit. That's not, how the fuck am I gonna get my gene spliced? Yeah, this is fucking bullshit. Wow. People genetically targeted with a special disease don't trust the people that targeted them with the disease. It doesn't make sense. I got things I gotta go do. So I am leaving. Well, maybe not. That's not working. All right. What the fuck am I feeling on my skin? Shout you out.